So a warm welcome once again, and my name is Pradeep Gogia. Request you all to keep your cameras on, and unless we have a bandwidth issue, we request you to keep the cameras off. So welcome to this credentialing support vertical, this is the first session being organized by the credentialing support vertical, which is part of the ICF Mumbai Charter chapter. I'm Pradeep. I'm from Mumbai, and I am also an aspiring coach like one of you. So we also have Nandini with us. She will take care of the admin and tech. Nandini is very vastly experienced and she's worked very closely with the Mumbai Charter Chapter Management Committee. Yeah. So that's about it. And we will also be taking a group photograph right at the end of the session. So we will do that as well. So let's get started with the topic straight, and we are looking at finding what we are going to talk about is finding your fit on ICF Credentialing Exam vis-a-vis the ACC exam. And so we have esteemed panel today, and the leader is of course Sunil Verma. We have maybe met him, had an opportunity to kind of talk to him, or he's vastly experienced, and he's an old hand with the Mumbai Charter chapter. He is an ICF accredited. He also runs an ICF accredited coaching school, which has come to be coaching. Very passionate person, and he's also been my mentor. I've been working with him. A very grounded, down to earth person, and he's spent a lot of time in the corporate role. He was heading as the L&D function for Standard Chartered Bank Europe, and based out of London. And he's come back to India in 2016 because of this passion of coaching people, and that's what brings him here. That's what his purpose is. We also have with us Anne. Anne is an ACC, and she's also vastly experienced, and she's founder of With a Will HR consultancy. She has over 3 decades of corporate experience in HR governance, risk management, and of course, leadership development. Anne specializes in helping women find their voice, build resilience, and navigate personal and professional challenges with confidence. Also, along with Anne, we have Sapna Shetty. She is also an ACC, and they have both recently kind of cleared their examination, and that's why we have here to hear from them about their experiences. They will be sharing this. But Sapna also is an MA in psychology. She's logged in over 350 hours of coaching, and she's been in the academic front for the past 10 years as an educator. Yeah, so that's I guess we have an esteemed, experienced panel. And so over to you, Sunil, and we are all eagerly waiting to hear from all of you.
Thank you, Pradeep, and welcome to everybody else on behalf of the Credentialing Support Vertical. This is our first webinar. We did do a very engaging WhatsApp webinar for preparing for this exam. Some of you were there as well. So today's session is actually for both PCC aspirants and ACC aspirants. Let me get that message very clearly to everyone. So in this session, we are going to look at some recent changes that have taken place that provide you, particularly people who are aspiring for ACC, one more option, which is called the ACC Credential Exam. We all know that the previous existing format is called ICF Credentialing Exam, and we are going to talk about both so that you can make an informed choice going forward. Our objectives specifically are, apart from helping you make an informed decision about the right exam format for you, is also to access and review some of the prep resources that are available for you. Also, because we have the benefit of having Anne and Sapna, who are fresh from their credentialing success. They have just experienced this exam. In fact, the tougher version, which is the ICF Credentialing Exam, both of them have cleared it. So we'll be learning from their experience in the panel discussion in the second half of this session. So the flow of today's session, it has two distinct sections, as I mentioned. So first is what is new, why the need to create that new structure, and is it applicable to me, and who else is it applicable for? So we are going to look at that. We are going to compare the two exam structures, both the ACC Credential Exam and the pre-existing ICF Credentialing Exam. We'll look at the content domains for both of those options and preparation resources. And then we are going to invite our panel, Sapna and Anne, to come and share their experiences with us. You will have an opportunity to ask questions at the end. So please feel free to put in your questions in the chat box anytime. And if it's a burning question, raise your hand and we'll attempt to create some time in between as well. So with that, I want to show you an interesting statistic about the pre-existing format, which is called the ICF Credentialing Exam. This is data from year 2023. So as you can see on the screen, the passing score out of 600 is 460. Now, this exam was designed to actually qualify ACCs, PCCs, and MCCs. So obviously, there was a varying degree of difficulty in the questions. And as you can see right at the bottom of the screen, about 75% people were passing in the first attempt, and then another 12% on subsequent exam attempt. So with the overall pass rate of 87, another piece of data was that it was the ACC aspirant that was finding it very difficult. And the percentage of ACC aspirants not passing this exam was fairly high. Therefore, there was a need to bring in a new exam, which is designed specifically for ACC aspirants. So this has just been launched on 18th of November, 2024. So there are very few people who've taken it. And until March 14th this year, the ACC aspirants actually have an option to go for either of the exam formats. We will have more clarity as we get closer to that date. But one thing is clear, that post this date, ACC aspirants will only appear for the new ACC Credential Exam. And therefore, it's important, if you are an ACC aspirant, to pay attention to that new format. I think everybody is familiar with the three credentialing paths, so I'm not spending any time there. It's just there for your reminder. So what has changed? So side by side, you have the details of ICF Credentialing Exam and the ACC Credential Exam. So first thing that strikes you is the length, the duration of the exam. So one is a much longer 180-minute format, the other is 90 minutes. The ICF Credentialing Exam has 78 items, as ICF calls it, which are multiple choice scenario-based questions. And the interesting thing is that for every scenario, you have to choose the best and the worst option. So the MCQ has 4 options and you drag and drop. So there are 2 boxes where you drag and drop the best option and the worst option. So effectively, there are 78 scenarios, but you need to make double the number of choices. So 166 choices. Whereas for ACC Credential Exam, there is 60 multiple choice questions, which have 4 options again, but you only need to choose the best option. And continuing with the same theme of comparing the 2 structures. So as you can see, the previous structure, which is on the left-hand side, was much more thorough, much more lengthy, and it had, for each question, you choosing the best and the worst option. This is a very busy slide, but this outlines the content domain for the new ACC Credential Exam. So as you can see, there are 3 broad areas. One is coaching ethics, and within that, there are 3 specific areas or broad scenarios that they are checking for. And after that, the second large domain is definition of coaching and boundaries of coaching. 30% of the questions are coming from here. And the list below, the 4 items below this heading, gives you specific preparation guidance, knowledge of definition of coaching, knowledge of the coaching process and how it differs from other related professions. So these are quite basic items in a coach's repertoire, but it gets more complex as we go on. So knowledge of when and how to make appropriate referrals for mental health professionals.
One kar do yahan par pura. One. Yeah, 0.
Request if we can go on mute, please. Narman Patel. Thank you.
Okay, the third domain is coaching competencies, strategies, and techniques. And this has 40% weightage. So this is the new ACC Credentialing Exam content domains. Compare that to the ICF Credentialing Exam that applies for PCC aspirants and MCC aspirants. So this has 12 or 13% weightage for every competency, which of course includes, the entire code of ethics as part of the first competency. Most of you are aware of the sample questions on the ICF website, but I just want to give you a taste of it. So here is a scenario with 4 options, just as a sample of what you come across in the ICF Credentialing Exam, which is the pre-existing structure for PCC and MCC. And until 14th of March, even for ACC, if they wish so. So if you could read this and choose your best and worst option, I'm going to pause here for a while. Let's see your responses in the chat box, please. Okay, I can see your responses coming in the chat box. Thank you. Keep it coming. So the best option is number 3. And the worst option is number 4. And as I'm quickly glancing through your responses, I can see that most of you got the best option right, but it is choosing the worst option that's quite tricky. A little while earlier, I mentioned a WhatsApp-inar that we did for 4 weeks, every Thursday, where we made you practice this skill. And we're going to do a repeat of that next month on a webinar. So if you're interested, you can come back and look through the nuances of how to do this. But broadly, what happens is that in every scenario, in most of the scenarios, there are two options that look good and two that you definitely know that these are not right. But the tricky thing is to make a choice within those two for best and worst. And there are a lot of nuances there. I see Sapna smiling, and she's going to share some of her thoughts with us a little while later. But Sapna, I want to invite you, if you want to say something now, you're welcome to.
Yeah, so this is just one of the 78, and you have to go through 78 of these. Not scaring anyone, but the key over here, I think, is to pay attention to the words, the partnership, and keeping it client-centric and not sitting in the driver's seat. So, like, for the worst answer, at least, I think that's where we most of us struggle. So, though it begins with ask, the next few words says to begin. So you're directing it wholeheartedly. The coach is directing the conversation. So I think this is why this is the worst. And what the more mock tests we do, this really stands out. Why it's the worst. I think that should help.
Brilliant. Thank you. So for ACC Credential Exam, there are some preparation resources. What I'm going to do quickly is put this link in your chat box as well, so that you can take it away with you. At least before the session ends, I'm going to do that. But I want to open this link and show you what comes up. So this takes you to the Pearson website, which is jointly branded with ICF. And if you scroll down this page, on the bottom right-hand side, you're going to...
Sorry, I'm pausing you, but we
Yeah.
still see the presentation.
Screen.
Yeah, so we can't see the screen, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna... Okay, so...
Yeah, good now. Yeah, so thanks.
So this is the jointly branded Pearson website page. And if you scroll down this page, on the bottom right, you see these links, which have some really useful resources for you. So there is a ACC exam tutorial. I'm going to go in there in a moment. There's those of you who are doing team coaching, there's a tutorial for that. An ICF Credentialing Exam tutorial, which is for PCCs and MCCs. Right now, until 14th of March, even the ACC aspirants can take that if you've been preparing in this format. So let me take you to what this tutorial looks like. Let me know if my screen is transitioning properly. Otherwise, I'll go off again and share it.
Yes, it is, Sunil. Thank you.
Okay, so the tutorial, the good thing about it is it's not only sharing sample questions with you, but it's also showing you the instructions to the exam and all this actually, and the structure and even the user interface. So it helps you familiarize with what you're going to see on the screen when you give your exam, and that's quite useful. I'm not reading through the instructions, but I'm just going to help you just browse through what exists there. So it's giving you instructions about, what all features exist for flagging items, reviewing them, etc., how to view how much time is remaining. Sometimes when you haven't scrolled down the screen fully, this pop-up comes up, which is prompting you to scroll down and look at the whole screen. So the tutorial is even making you familiar with that. And then how to monitor your progress, how to manage your time, etc., etc. The agreement. More instructions for answering questions. And here is the sample item number 1. Remember, this is the ACC only format. You only need to make one choice, which is the best option. I'm not inviting you to put your answers in the chat box, but I'm sure you're mentally, you're quite clear about what these are. So it gives you several sample items. And in the end, it gives you the break instructions, etc., just as it would pop up during the real exam. And then you keep going and how to end your exam. Now, ending your exam is quite important because if you don't do it correctly, your results don't come out instantly. And then that leads to another few nights of anxiety because you are waiting for your results to come out. The other link is quite similar. So if you were to go to this Pearson website, scroll down the page and go to the ICF Credentialing Exam link, it's very similar to what I just showed you. As I mentioned earlier, we are going to put these links in the chat box towards the end of the program today, so that you can take them away. So there are two different links, one for ICF Credentialing Exam for PCCs and MCCs, and the other for ACC Credential Exam. This is how the user interface looks for ICF Credentialing Exam. I told you that it asks you to drag and drop the best option and the worst option in the corresponding boxes. So that's what it looks like. One question that a lot of people grapple with, and we are going to ask that question to Anne and Sapna shortly. So just so that we don't put you on the spot, Anne and Sapna, this is the first question that's coming to you. We want to know your views on this. But for everybody to make an informed choice, I'll put this link, which has two videos on the Pearson website. They clearly outline the pros and cons of both these choices, whether you should do it from your comfort of your home, or find a Pearson center and go there and do it. So let's hear from Sapna and Anne, who've recently made these choices and successfully at that. So what would you say, Anne and Sapna?
I, of course, went with the examination format from home. I wanted to look at it for my comfort. I had a lot of things happening around that point of time. And I knew for sure I was in a different city, so I knew for sure I would navigate to the center. But yes, I mean, the process itself is seamless. So it makes you do your set of tests and your network settings, etc., multiple times. They send you the reminders, so you know for sure that you're not missing it out. One thing though I did realize is that when you're doing your network testing, it records your Wi-Fi. So it registers the Wi-Fi connection you're using. Now, I did my testing in Delhi and I wanted to do my examination in Bombay because I was traveling back, which meant I would have to do the entire network testing process again. So I eventually completed the examination in Delhi because it didn't give me enough time to run the test and have time in case something did not go right. So you have to be mindful that if you're doing it from home, you have to be in the same network that you've run your test and on the day of the exam.
Yeah, before I give my answer, thank you, Sunil, for such a beautiful summary of the entire process. I think you've covered it all. And yeah, I would like to, it's a good thing that Anne has taken it from home because I took it at the center. So you have two opinions on this. And Anne is also a tech expert, I believe, right? So keeping that in mind, I'm not. And my peer, who's also a tech expert, had taken it from home, and I was considering that because it is comfortable. But then there are formalities to be completed. And if you're not a tech expert, it would be wiser to just go to the center, because if you're well-versed with the working of the computer, checking your bandwidth and all that, then it's good to take it at home because it is comfortable. You also, I think you need to keep your settings they'll have a look around, and there are a lot of things. They have to check your ID, and it's better to carry 2 IDs. That was what the Pearson guy had told, because the Aadhaar card requires a holographic stamp. And if your Aadhaar card does not have that, then that won't be accepted. So I had to carry my passport, and that was what the ID that I had shown to them. I also had to travel 2 hours because there was no center in my city. I was in another, I was in a smaller town at that moment. And yeah, so if you're in a bigger city like Mumbai or Bangalore, you have plenty of centers to choose from. It would be advisable to go to a nearby center. You can locate them on the Pearson VUE website and check out the centers, because I got a great center, but I've heard from my peer coaches that some centers have a lot of noise going on, and it depends on your comfort. So just check around, look around. It's a nice thing to just have that in mind while choosing. Everything matters. It all adds up. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, both of you. I'm going to ask you a very difficult question. So there is a lot of anxiety around the exam for 2 reasons. One, there are a lot of stories of failure. And of course, this is a bit intimidating for most coaches. It's the last step. It's a crucial step. Everybody is thinking about failure. How did you deal with this anxiety? Or if at all you had to deal with failure, how did you do that?
Yeah, I'll go first. So it started by me saying that, oh, I'm coaching, and I obviously will clear the examination. And closer to the date, I started realizing that I don't think I know what I will be doing there, and I'm not prepared enough. And I was very sure on the day of the examination that I will fail. And then I was also anxious because I told so many people that I'm appearing for this assessment, and I said, shit, if I fail, what am I going to go back and tell people? But then I finally said, okay, whatever. I mean, I'm just going to do my best. I thought, I did my whole centering before I got into my into the examination. I said, whatever happens, it's fine. Having said what you said, at the end of it, I submitted my examination. I did get my result. So I was even more sure that, okay, I've definitely failed. It's instant, but it took those few seconds before the result came in. And for those few seconds or for that 1 minute, I was so sure I failed, and that's why it's not up there. But yeah, I think what really helped me was to say that, okay, go with this mindset to say whatever happens, you've prepared as much as you could. And if you don't clear it, for sure, you should, it serves you right because you didn't prepare enough. And just go ahead and do it with your best.
Yeah, anxiety, my best friend. I had gone through the exact same things that Anne had just mentioned, so I won't say it again to replicate it. Initially, you feel confident, then you feel really, oh my gosh, what's going on? But yeah, the pre-work, I think, I really go back to the ICF core competencies for this, and I can't read it enough. Though it is really basic, I think even for just preparing yourself, meeting your emotions before the exam actually helps. So if you have felt anxiety before, or if you have faced something like that, you know exactly how it feels, and you know when it's creeping up. So just having a few practices to keep you centered will help here. And that's what I did. And yeah, so cultivating trust and safety within yourself, maintaining presence, and evoking awareness. So go back. It is a revision as well, right? When you're facing anxiety in yourself, even during the exam, just revising your core competencies. And that's where you get all your marks from. And yeah, failure, it's a learning, right? It's not actually a failure. It's a learning. And there's nothing more beautiful than that. This is actually a foundation of your entire coaching journey. And it's not to be tested, but it is only to be strengthened. So I feel that this exam is so beautifully curated that once you give it, you will really understand that it's not a test. It is really just making sure that you're on the right path. And it is a redirection. In case something happens, it's just that, okay, visit it again and see what you need to work on. Because the entire coaching journey really rests on understanding what is mentioned on the website. And yeah, that's where I would like to come from.
Thank you, both of you. I want to quickly move on to two very important aspects of giving the exam. And we really want to know it from both of you since you're fresh from this experience. What, in your opinion, are the biggest pitfalls and best practices on the day of the exam or even during preparation? And Jayant, you can put your question in the chat box and we'll definitely have it addressed right away.
That's why you go first.
So best practices, ICF website, ICF website, ICF website. I haven't done anything else but just being with that. In fact, I always, like the one thing that I did was be with one core competency for the day. I did not want to overread, or there is no memorization. It is basically, I think, what they're looking at is to be those core competencies, to be them. So just, holding on to one core competency and just being with it, just being that one core competency for the whole day. So getting the essence of it. And I feel there's a lot of growth in it. And also the insights and considerations, they are a living document which are constantly revisited. So it's a very good thing to just revise and read through it, not to rote learn or to memorize, but just to grab the essence. Also, there is a website called Solutions Academy, which offers mock exams. And the main reason I say this is to improve your sitting tolerance. Most of us do sit at work for long hours, but sitting in one space, coaching for 4 hours, I think we need some kind of practice for that. So mock exams is a good way to practice that sitting tolerance. Another thing to keep in mind is reading, because we all read during our day, but focused reading, just attending to those words, the meaning of different words. They say a similar story, but the words differ. So suggest from tell to ask, and all such small nuances. It's very detailed reading. And Sunil has beautifully summarized why I say so. Is the website has those, you have to read how to go through the exam. You can, you can zoom in, you can flag off the questions. So that is a good thing. And yeah, so sitting tolerance is another thing. Sitting for 4 hours, I had to practice that because I was getting fidgety. And after 1 hour, I wanted to walk. So you have to develop a tolerance for sitting for 4 hours. So they have a 10-minute break in between, which of course you must take. The pitfalls, I don't see any. I think if we are mentally prepared, it should be a smooth journey.
Thanks, Sapna. I think I second what Sapna said. I think the only thing that I did in addition was that I also went through all the videos on the ICF YouTube channel that covered the core competencies and the code of ethics. I did all the mock tests that were available. I clearly didn't do as much as preparation as Sapna. So the 4 hours were very exhausting. And yeah, like she said, I do second that you must take that break when it comes in. But yeah, before you do that, make sure that you've completed the first section, reviewed it, submitted it, because you're not allowed to go. I mean, yes, the break obviously comes in when you submit the section, but that it clearly says that you won't be able to attempt the first section later. So you need to finish that completely. I think during the session, because I was at home, I think there were some of the other things that Sapna said, in the center gets taken care of. But, for me, for example, it was cold, so I had tissue paper with me, and they actually made me, show them that the tissue paper had nothing written on that. Not that, for this kind of an assessment, you could really take cheat notes. But, and it did put me off for the moment. But the whole idea is that they are basically checking their stuff. So you shouldn't get, perturbed by something like if it happens.
just be comfortable, focus on the session, and do it peacefully. There's enough time. It's long, it's exhausting, but there is still enough of time. And I didn't, there were some questions which was very confusing, so I just flagged them. And then I went back to look at them. And because, when you finish the rest of these questions, then checking the flagged questions becomes much more easy. Otherwise, you have that stress of the timer on the top of the page.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Jayant, I saw you type in a question about reappearing for the exam. But your question has gone missing in the chat. So can you read it out loud?
His question was whether there's a gap that is required between reattempting the examination. If you've not cleared it once, and is there a time gap?
Yeah.
There were other two questions also. I thought you might want to take them up. One is whether it's online or written, and site for mock test, and what is flagging option.
Okay, sure. So let's come to Jayant's question first. Yes, there is a gap required. After your first attempt, the minimum gap required is 14 days before you can reappear. For any subsequent attempts, after your second attempt, it would be 30 days gap. So as per ICF, after your first attempt, for the next 365 days, you can appear 6 times to pass the exam. And I know of people who have been very resilient, who have taken the approach that Sapna just articulated, that this is your own development. Yes, you pay $105 each time, but it's worth it, really. So I know people who've done it a few times and then they come out stronger at the other end. Now, is it online or written? It is online, and the option is to do it sitting at home, or to go to a Pearson center and do that. More details in the links that I've already put in the chat box earlier. What was the third question?
Site for mock test?
Yes. So there are plenty of mock tests available for the ICF Credentialing Exam. I have already put in the tutorial links in the chat box on the Pearson website, which have 10 sample questions in the exact format that you will see in your real exam. But there are some very popular simulations available outside as well. So they are all commercially distributed, so I don't want to kind of advertise anybody, but all the respected players in this market have their own version of it. Some of them actually are pro bono as well.
Sunil, there's also a question which came up, which was a first question from Mona. She wanted to know on point of sitting for the exam, meaning to say, how do I apply reporting, coaching hours, etc. So that's quote unquote what she has mentioned. So if you could answer that question.
Yes, Mona, there is a step-by-step downloadable PDF on the ICF website. I'll try and put the link before this session gets over. So what it does is it gives you screenshots and it gives you clear instructions of how to apply for your credential. So I will try and put the PDF or the link in the chat box before so this session gets over.
A couple of more questions coming up. One is
Sorry, I just want to add one more thing quickly. Sorry, Pradeep. So Mona, the most critical step, which is not covered in that PDF, is to do your credentialing survey properly. Because those questions are tricky, and based on how you answered those 3 or 4 questions, the credentialing path will be recommended by that survey. And this is very important because there is a huge cost difference between the portfolio path application and the level 1 application. So, having it very clear and done properly can save you $300 or so. We will do a separate session on this because these questions have come up. So we will try and do a briefing just on how to apply for your credentials separately.
A couple of more questions, Sunil. I know we are kind of running short on time, but I think this is important to answer them. One is coming in from Gautam. I thought I just saw that. Gautam, yeah. So from external perception point of view, which is better? Is the ICF credentialing better or ACC credentialing better?
Oh, so definitely, we all know that ICF credentialing exam is more complex, but nobody really asks you which exam did you appear for. They look at your ACC credential. There is one more information that's quite pertinent here, Gautam. You haven't asked that, but I'll anyway add that. So as per current procedures, if you have passed your ICF credentialing exam, which is the existing format, and for your ACC, and within 1 year, if you apply for your PCC, you don't need to reappear for that exam. And therefore, for those of you who took your first coach training years ago, you have accumulated a lot of hours, you're doing your ACC now, I would recommend that you go for the existing format, which is ICF Credentialing Exam. I hope that makes sense, Gautam.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Sunil, for this. A couple of more questions. There's one question from Swati. She's asking that she's done her training and mentoring a few years back, and she wants to refresh all the knowledge on the ACC and any recommendations. I guess Sapna has already replied that I see the website is the best source of information, and the examination is more on the competencies. And the nuances of the words, the way they ask the questions. So I guess that would answer. Sunil, if you would want to add anything to what I said.
Yes, I would like to add a couple of things. So number one, ICF has done a wonderful video series on each, covering each competency.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very thorough. We all have different styles of learning. Some of us learn by reading. Some of us learn by discussing or watching videos. If your style is watching videos or listening to instruction, go to YouTube and look for the ICF competency series, and you will see some very accomplished coaches come and unpack each competency for you. For the ethics practice, I would highly recommend the one course that exists on our learning portal. It's free. It's in fact available to even non-members. But the uptake is not as much as I would like to see. So I would really recommend that as part of your preparation, you go and take that course. The beautiful thing about ICF exam preparation is that the resources are free and they are available. You just need to find them and religiously go through them. So this will get you restarted and refreshed on your ACC or PCC path very quickly.
Okay. Thanks, Sunil. Just a last question. I know there are quite a few questions. Maybe we'll keep getting up. Just one last question before we move ahead. And this is for you, Anne. What kind of checks did you do on your computer? This is from Aniket. And how earlier are they from the date of exam? Does anyone have to install any app? So over to you, Anne.
Yes, sure. So, Pradeep, so yeah, I guess there is the minute you register for the whole process, there is an email communication that comes to you. It's pretty explicit in terms of the steps that you need to follow. If you're using Apple products, then I recommend you not to try it on Safari, but download Chrome. It doesn't work on Safari as well. It does require you to download the Pearson app. The entire process works from your ICF login. Okay, so you do get the app. You do your test. It asks you to to share your credentials, put your photograph, checks your system, etc. And that's it. So it sets you up for the session. It also ends with a mock test. I did the test twice, just to be sure that it was working fine. The validation that that person does is only on the day of the exam. So before you're taken to the examination screen, somebody will call you. They will ask you to move your computer or your laptop screen such that they are able to see around the workstation. And if there is something that they feel needs to be moved away, they'll tell you. So with me, the only thing that were within my reach was my water bottle and the tissue papers. So they just look at it around and that's it. And then they move you to the examinations.
Yeah, hope this answers the questions. So thank you so much, everyone, and particularly Sunil, Sapna, and also Anne, for kind of taking us through right from the difference of the various of the two examinations, and which is the best, what suits us best. How do you pick the best one? And also thanks Sapna and Anne for sharing their experiences of what went in the mental preparation and also the preparation for the exam, how to handle anxiety. So thanks, it was a wonderful insight. Now we need to move ahead and we will want to take a group picture. So if we can have our cameras on, and Nandini, over to you for taking a group pic. Nandini, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I'm there.
Yeah, thank you.
Just waiting for everyone to switch on their cameras.
Okay, everyone say money.
Thank you, Nandini.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And before we still have time to log off, a couple of things left. So there's a quick poll coming up. Please give your feedback on the session. Nandini will run the poll, and yeah, we'll just take a minute or so on that.
Yeah, I think we are done. I'm ending the poll. I hope everyone is appointed.
Okay. So thank you. Thank you once again to the entire team. I would say Sunil and Sapna, and also to Nandini for letting this platform happen. And thank you for sharing your experiences. It was really wonderful. We had a lot of knowledge sharing and wonderful insights as well. So a big thank you once again from all of us to the credentialing support vertical of the ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter. Now, last one bit we want from you side is what has been your takeaway from this session today? So maybe you can drop in a one line, one word on the chat board, and we can end the session there. Okay, thank you, Gautam, for your response. Okay, we are getting some inputs there from a couple of participants, Sakshi and Ravi Prakash. We want more information on the ACC certification process, how to approach the ACC certification. Yeah, thank you, Sakshi. Okay, thank you, Atul. So absorbing the competencies. Yes, yeah, not only reading them. Yeah.
Here could I add something, because they were
Please.
just, yeah. So on the day of the exam, you're actually coaching 78 different clients. So you are coaching, you're not taking an exam.
Yeah.
And each question is a different client with a different set of, it's a different scene. So coming back to your center plays a huge card over here, yeah. And because I just read Atul mentioning centering before taking the exam, even centering during the exam is very important. Whatever your practice is, after every 10 questions, close your eyes, center. Just say center, it will come to the center, and then start again, yeah. So because there are a lot of scenarios, it does get quite challenging, and ICF credentialing especially is very wordy. So you have to read and grasp from that. So yeah.
Thank you for that perspective, Sapna. Thank you. Great. So I guess, we've had quite a few thoughts there. It was a wonderful audience. So thanks to all of you for even coming over and participating and making this an enriching experience for all of us. Yeah. With that, I guess it's time to sign off. And thank you once again. Yeah.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
bye guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.